I do have to blame Martin Knight for continuing to suck me back into D100 Dungeon with new material, and this latest from him is the Lost Tome of Extraordinary Rules, and we're going to just take a quick look here inside it. I'm not going to go through every single thing that this has to offer, but I want to show you a little bit of the new tables and discuss briefly how I think I might use this in the next D100 gameplay that I do. It says here that this book adds lots of new rules. That's nothing new for products from him and can be added to your D100 Dungeon games. None of them have to be included, and you are free to pick and choose which ones you use. Just follow the instructions and have fun. This is typical of the things that he's released since the beginning of the D100 material, that there are new rules in each of the products. And I said this in the last video that I did. I wish/hope he would at some point put them all together in one book. So if we don't have a lot of these different volumes to consult. On the other hand, one of the pleasures for me, at least, of playing this game as the new material comes out is this sense that you have all these books and you're sort of consulting them, and I get this feeling of like being a tinkerer, and this book in particular offers a little bit more of that. But just the very nature of the fact that there are these individual books that you're pulling from when you're playing is, for me, I don't know, it just adds a nice little layer to the experience. On the other hand, you do have a whole bunch of range of materials that you're drawing from, so it becomes less, for me, a portable pen and paper game to something more than that. In any case, here are some of the new rules. We start with Beast Mastery, which is pretty cool. It deals with the use of beasts that can be trained and used during your quests to aid tests and assist in combat. And you have a beast that you can tame, in essence, and through this tame test, and add it to your, it's essentially like having a familiar here, and we can see the art as a suggestion of this. There's a training track, and the beasts have various abilities that we will see detailed here. The adventure may only have one beast at a time. They are added to your new adventure sheet, and I'll show you that there in the space provided. And at the start of each before your next quest, the adventurer can train their beast by making the training tests. And you can see here in the new adventurer sheet, right under the belt slots, there's the beast, your level, the beast bonus, and the training and its abilities and its HP. When the adventurer is damaged in combat, some of the damage may be deflected to their beast instead, and they can also be healed by various spells and potions that you may have. There's a new find table. There's a new table F here in the back, and you can substitute this table, find A table, for the other find table, so give some variety here. And there's a corpse you could find with some possibilities for what it might be having. So at the beginning of your quest, you can decide which table you're going to want. One big component of this, there's a couple of big components of this book in terms of new characters or new attributes that characters can have. One of them is artisans. The following rules have been designed to provide a way for adventurers to craft items from salvaged and bought materials. But before crafting can take place, the adventurer must have some knowledge about how to be an artisan. So there are rules here about how to be an artisan, how to do salvage tests, and gain salvage experience based on the tests that you do, and that experience is going to give you a better chance of using the salvage material that you may find, and then taking that material and crafting it into something else. And there are quite a few details here on how that works. It's very granular. I think that we'll show you some of the tables here in the back for this. So for example, it's showing you here if you find something like these leather gauntlets, what the standard salvage materials that they will yield would be for wood or bone to leather or hide. If you had upgraded salvage materials, it would be under these lines: the bronze, the silver, the gold, or the azure. So there is they're broken down into the components, and the same thing with weapons that you might find, the same story. Then you would be taking these materials and basing on what you have, the quantities, you'd be able to craft them into other weapons, for example, and or other armor, for example. So this build is allowing you to make things that you may want by gathering things that you find and utilizing them. You can't necessarily utilize everything, but you can utilize some things. The other big component here that I think is great is the combat experience. What this means is that as you encounter beasts and as you continue to have combat with the same beasts, you gain experience. And this makes a lot of sense. If you've played this game, you know that you can spend a lot of time fighting the same type of beasts, and it seems to be like you're doing the same thing over and over again. But what happens here now is that you gain experience when that happens, and you can mark that experience down in the, here we go, in the combat experience sheet for that beast. So for example, if you are continuing to encounter ghosts, for example, you mark your experience down, and then at a certain point you get the benefit of holy strength and you get to ignore one of the fear tests. Then there's a reaction modifier for the ghost, and if you continue to get more experience, you get further benefits. So that is really great, because it does take into account that encountering the same monster over and over again, you would learn and gain some experience about how to fight it. And then there's a lot of detail given about how to create an advanced magic user who is going to be specializing in one of different areas of magic that are detailed here, and how you can do that taking if you're the hero path of druid, warlock, sorcerer, or arcane wizard, and you have a baseline intelligence level, you can choose to specialize in a certain type of magic, and it explains how to do that to get to that level, essentially going to school, doing this test of death, which requires you to cast 5 spells successfully in a row or die trying, and then what it means to have this hero path added to you. You get benefits. You get a staff that can be, in essence, an alive object and absorb damage. You can get different types of spells that follow the path that you have chosen, and they're detailed here in the back, the different types of spells based on the different types of magic, and they are very thematic to elemental spells or illusion spells if you are following a different, the different path of magic. Invocation, there's summoning, and psyche. So this gives a further differentiation and development to the magic characters. And there is another way of generating quick adventures that gives you essentially a very fast way of doing a random roll to get to a particular path with a particular race, and the stats are all laid out for you here. I haven't done this yet, but I think this will be a big benefit for me in the game, because I find just if I want to play it again and just sort of start over with somebody, even the other quick adventure way was not quite fast enough. So this looks a lot faster to just quickly get some stats in there and get going in the game. So I think that this in particular, I think, removes a little bit of an obstacle that I have had to the game when I want to go back to play it. The special blues chart here, or D100 chart, is great. This refers to the blue map tiles that are now a little bit more than just objective rooms. So you can roll on this table and get something out of the special blue area. You can either follow the standard rules or you can roll on this for a different experience and potential to earn different rewards, and just gives different things to do and provides a little bit more of a narrative story that you can get out of it. I skipped over the investments made easy section because honestly, I don't really do the investments, and I don't know how therefore this modifies that, but they're just a note for those of you that do this part of the game. There is a way of maybe doing it faster or shorter. So overall, what this is trying to do is conceptually a little bit, it's trying to do two different things. On the one hand, it's offering shorthand ways of getting to an adventurer or getting to an investment. On the other hand, it is also offering a lot more detail and things that might potentially slow down the game to a granular level by giving you the options to develop an advanced magic user and the skills to become an artisan and build and create things from what you find around in the dungeon. I think this in particular makes use of the fact that a lot of times you find things and you can't really do anything with them, and here you're given the option to do something with them and to further develop the crafting rules that were brought in the last new volume. And then finally adding this concept of having a beast and taming a beast and bringing a beast with you. It's just all adding more stuff, more good stuff to the gameplay. I think for me, the next challenge is going to be to lay out all the material that I have and figure out what I'm going to pick and choose among it to use. And also on my end, when playing, I think I've decided that to hasten the development of the game overall, when I'm filling in experience points, I typically advance that a little bit more. Maybe I'll fill in double that, just to move through a little bit more quickly, and frankly to get to do more and to get to do more fast. What's interesting about the way the material has been released is that within the same space, within the same dungeon now, you are able to interact more, you are able to do more yourself, and you're able to experience more. So the geography of the rooms is being built upon. The interaction that you're having in combat is a little bit deeper and has more layers to it. The content is being developed in a sense from within as opposed to necessarily moving out, meaning more adventures, more stories. We did get the dragon armor, which is an adventurer's guide, but with a new story. But even that, I think, and I don't have that handy to refer to, I think that also contained some new rules to develop, in a sense from the inside out. It's an interesting approach from a designer to do it this way, at the same time allow you to build a character quickly and then layer onto that character with other skills and things. So I'm looking forward to integrating some of these rules, especially the beasts. I love the concept of familiars, the table, rolling on the blue table and doing a quick adventure and starting out and doing all of that and seeing how it makes the game feel, and going around and collecting some things and building things. I talked about in my last video how much I like that concept in adventuring, and I think it's one that's across the board really underutilized in this genre, that for all there are spells and things given to us to discover and learn, there is, generally speaking, an underutilization of foraging around the world and then bringing something into the world that isn't already there. So that is a quick look into the latest from Martin Knight, D100 Dungeon, the Lost Tome of Extraordinary Rules. And again, I have to blame him for causing me now to go back and play his game again.